Hello, how you doing? And then on live is at 4:40, and then we'll run. Very greedy for all of you. We'll have time to find a place.
I'll take that. They want to 5-second presentation.
Yeah, go for it.
Right, exactly.
I liked your story on the ships.
On the tour ships?
Yes, on the ships. Yes, I listened to it. I like having music in there. I liked it. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Continue with another excellent. Well, that's how it goes, right? That's how he's in.
Yeah. I had a fun one the other day. The new kid,
Okay.
Pour this. And they said, no, you gotta have a drink.
Love it.
Where'd you get the, what was the,
From Jewel. She texted.
you want to say the name?
Yes. You want me to just write it out for you?
No, just,
Just text it to you? That one? I think that she's gonna.
How's the bowl?
Oh,
no, watch it right now.
I don't have an hour. I'm busy thinking about this.
You don't want to be the one to drop it.
You'll follow up.
Yeah, you know, you let someone else kill the door.
Wait, someone else will hit by the door?
Yeah, sometimes it's how it's gonna go.
Pretty much able.
Right, yeah, I was thinking too.
Because I got clear on that. Yeah. No, I'm not the one checking the scene.
We're doing it as about me. So it's like, all right, well, I suppose we got what we need. And what are you doing? Okay. Why is this a big deal? We'll be out here. Yeah. Right. Right.
After 30 years, pretty much got together.
Yeah.
But then, you get freedom to players going out.
How many do you have? How many stores do you have to do days? No.
But I'm from here.
Right. And he knows what he's going to say. Or we have barriers now.
Although there'll be concrete levels all the way along.
Welcome to the cool. Right, yeah, no, that's the kind of thing that I would. Well, back in the station, okay. Yeah, that's a smart one. Well, I guess I kind of.
You don't have to glorify public life.
Right, where it's like, in case you haven't, there was one where I was in this gun store just doing a story on some type of gun mix thing, I forget. He was showing us those trigger things you can basically make it fully automatic. And I remember kind of being like, for this, it's not because if you don't know about it, now you know.
Like, it was like this long enough, it was almost there, I got that much money, and I was on the phone. I shouldn't be because of this, people would have a freaking house. This was the manageable version of the funny.
You guys all whited up already?
Yes, sir. This time.
Yeah, no, come. Actually, why don't you all individually say your name and what department you're from so that they all get that on.
Andrew Pazahowski, the chief of Huntington Woods.
And I'm sure you all already know me, Matt Kane. I'm the public safety director in Berkeley.
Hi, Mike Moore from Royal Oak, the police chief.
James Gallagher, Bloomfield Township Police Chief. Captain Tom Vance Mays, Bloomfield Hills Public Safety.
I'm Brian Bestline with Clearview Towers and SOCX.
Okay, so we just wanted to touch base a little bit, pre-Dream Cruise, obviously. We're on a big anniversary. It's been going on a lot of years and a lot of fun for many, some headaches for others, but it's a great economic impact and a uniquely Oakland County, pure Michigan kind of event. So I know with what goes on in the world, people periodically get anxious about large gatherings, and so do we. So it's really important to understand the cooperation and teamwork of every law enforcement agency up and down Woodward and beyond that are involved in this, including our other partners, federal, et cetera. So I want to first touch on some of the restrictions that are in place on Saturday that we have for a number of years, but reiterate them and maybe make clear some of them. So first, vehicle restrictions, nothing over 10,000 pounds, no commercial vehicles, and no trailers, okay? So we're trying to keep it focused on what the Dream Cruise is, and that is small classic cars. We encourage people to park and come watch it rather than drive hanging out of their minivan and congesting it and kind of keeping that progression moving of the real cars people come out to look for. So we'd encourage that. But the restrictions are very hard and fast. Nothing over 10,000 pounds, no trailers, and no commercial vehicles. Second thing I want to talk about in terms of drones. Drones are a very fun hobby for many, many people. That's great. We encourage that to have fun, but they have to follow the rules. So first off, you cannot fly ever over 400 feet. And we had multiple incursions last year that went all the way up to almost 1,500 feet past our crewed aircraft. That's not only dangerous, it's illegal. Okay, so under 400 feet, you're not allowed to fly over crowds by law, by FAA rule or law. These are the things I'm talking about. You're not allowed to fly over the roadway. And you have to have it in your line of sight. That's current regulation from federal government. Here's what we encourage for the drone hobbyists or people that want to get some video of the great cars. Fly it over a fixed building that's just off the road. Then if there's a catastrophic issue, it lands on an empty rooftop. You can still see the cars and get what you want. We ask that you keep it under 200 feet. That makes sure that we have no conflict with our police drones that are watching the event for public safety issues. So if you could keep it under 200 feet, that would be a request. It's not law, but we would encourage that over a building off the side of the road. And that way it wouldn't interfere with any of our operations, either crewed or non-crewed aircraft. And keep it in your line of sight as required by the federal government. And we would encourage it, it's such a large scale event, within 250 to maybe 500 feet horizontally. So don't have it flying out away from you at a distance, and try to keep it safe. On the law enforcement side, pretty much everything you can imagine will be out there. I mentioned was the cameras. You may have noticed them popping up. Cameras, there'll be drones, there'll be helicopters, there'll be dogs, cars, motorcycles, horses, bikes, pedestrian patrols. Everything you can imagine will be out there to keep the event safe and fun. It's the largest single automotive gathering in the world, so it's a bit of a challenge to police, but only through the partnership of all the different agencies that we have here and beyond are we able to do it and try to make sure everyone stays safe. We'd encourage people to limit the amount of alcohol they're drinking, and we also encourage them not to get out into the roadway. Sometimes you get people going out in the roadway encouraging burnouts and things like that. We have no tolerance for drinking and driving or dangerous driving. This is not the place to show your vehicle's capability. Many years ago, there was someone that got egged on, did a burnout, lost control, went to the left, thank heavens, instead of the right, hit the curb and flipped. Had they gone to the right, people would have died and it would have been a mass tragedy. So that's not the place to show your vehicle's capabilities. It's the place to show how pretty it is and how much work you've put into it and have a fun day. It's a family day. Let's keep it safe and not have it a tragic moment. Anybody else want to jump in on anything?
Yep. Good afternoon. As the sheriff mentioned about the cooperation, just wanted to mention a couple things. I'd be remiss, I'm a public safety director, so we're also firefighters. The fire service also, they help us out a lot, both the departments along Woodward and also our partners that are elsewhere in Oakland County, and that's the same with law enforcement. It's not only the Woodward departments, we have help from a lot of departments that don't border Woodward, but they give us a big help. We have a big event tomorrow night, a parade, and we have probably 25, 30 officers from other departments, including several that are up here in the sheriff's office. I also wanted to mention our multi-agency coordination center. That is representatives from Oakland County Tactical Consortium, MABUS 3201 and 3202, which are the two fire groups in our county, Michigan State Police, the Oakland County Sheriff's Office, Federal Bureau of Investigation, hospitals, and then also the incident management team. So trying to keep all the information, the entire stretch of Woodward together, they really help us organize that because really we're all concerned about the entire length of Woodward, but we have our own jurisdictions to police, so that helps us out a lot. I think that's it for me.
No, if we can, I think Sheriff mentioned that the cameras that have popped up along Woodward, I think when we talk about the Woodward Dream Cruise, we also think about the community at large. We've had a great partnership this year with Clearview Technologies and SOCX, which is based out of Troy, who have donated those cameras for us as a public-private private-public partnership along Woodward. Again, it's just an extra set of eyes for us to keep an eye on the crowds to ensure the safety of all the motorists and the pedestrians on the roadways. As the sheriff mentioned, some of our major concerns are individuals losing control of their high-powered vehicles on the road, not having the experience to control those, and if a crowd of people gets hit, we get a crowd of people hit, this can be a tragic event. For our 30th year, let's not make it this year. And we're prepared, law enforcement and fire services, if anything were to happen.
Questions? Yep.
Better explain how these cameras work, this new partnership, how they help the departments?
Well, cameras, be it these new cameras or other kinds of, we're going to have our pole cameras up on our mobile command. We got the drone cameras that can feed in live. Our helicopters have downlinks. Really, all of the cameras allow us to see things in real time and have situational awareness. And if we see something developing, then it can be communicated very quickly and we can get resources there, whatever resource is needed. So it's one more avenue to have that many more eyes involved so we can stay on top of things. Because a lot of people don't understand that, I mentioned the scale of this event, but when other large events happen typically around the country, they're very closed and no vehicles are allowed in and pedestrians have a limited access point. This is probably one of the largest gatherings in the world that has none of that because it's car-centric and it's 13 miles long with thousands of curb cuts. So it's a much different challenge.
How do you navigate adjusting for first responders during times like this when there's so many closures and so many people?
Well, the great thing is we've been doing this for so long, 30 years. Over that process, we have deepened the partnerships and the understanding of how to move crowds, how to move cars, if a vehicle needs to get somewhere, what do we shut off? And it's like watching a ballet, really. I mean, if you ever had an inside look at closing, when we shut down Woodward, it's like a ballet. It's all of a sudden, it's like everywhere, and then it's like, where'd they go? Because everybody works in harmony and kind of knows what we need to do. And that includes moving public safety vehicles. So like, let's say at Royal Oak at 13 and Woodward, you've got the fire department right there on the corner and ambulances coming back and forth. But you also have stationary posts of police not very far away. And if you've got something that needs to have assistance to get through intersections, they can walk out and take control of that intersection and get the emergency vehicles to the hospital or elsewhere.
You mentioned your situational awareness. Could you talk about the spectators maintaining theirs? There's opportunistic folks out there looking for an easy fix.
Yeah, super appropriate question. Two things for the crowd to be aware of, obviously, is, when you have a large crowd, you have people that want to make hay with that and be criminals and do pickpocketing activity or steal purses, steal wallets, steal whatever they can. So be aware of that and notice that. And also, very importantly, if you see somebody set something down and walk away from it, that's an immediate call. If they don't return to that package or you feel something is dangerous, that's an immediate call. We don't want somebody dropping a package off in a crowd and then walking away from it. Yes?
You talked about the economic impact of this. I was speaking to a business in Royal Oak who said that yes, there is an economic impact, but for them actually they've decided to close in recent years, and some of that is just not seeing sales on that day, but some of that also they said is in the interest of keeping their employees safe. It can get a little rowdy. Is there coordination that you guys are doing or communications with small businesses along the route who are concerned about safety for their people?
Yeah, I mean, each individual community communicates and works with their small businesses, not just on this day, but on a daily basis. And that's when I, at the beginning of this talked about, a lot of people love it, some people it's a headache. Some of the businesses right on in kind of the zone feel a diminishment in business because people can't get to them depending on the business. But the economic impact, I think, is more of a region because people come from all over, literally the world. They're going to restaurants and hotels and they're spending money on souvenirs and things like that. So again, depending on the chair you're sitting in, you either love it or not so much. Yes?
Still kind of on the topic of cars, can you give us an update on the investigation regarding Stellantis's false police report on their missing bull for a period of time?
Yeah, that's an ongoing investigation. It was very frustrating to find out that it wasn't stolen after we put a fair amount of resources into that situation. So they're pivoting to who knew what. So if there was an intentional false police report made, that's a crime. And so, if there was miscommunication from different groups within the company and somebody took it and this group didn't and they made the report, that's not a crime. So we're going to get to the bottom of that and figure out if that's what it was, miscommunication. It happens everywhere, but we want to be sure that's what it was.
Can you reiterate the importance of
Yeah, I mean, these were very serious senior detectives that were involved in this because it was an unusual case. It drew a lot of attention nationally, a lot of negative attention to the city of Pontiac, which it didn't deserve. Nothing was stolen. And so, we threw resources at it. And that's why it's a bit frustrating to find out there was nothing to it, that someone connected to the company had it all along.
And still sticking with that as well, I mean, 67 hours from the time that it went out to the time that it was found in North Carolina. I mean, there's a real big gap in communication where someone didn't own up to, taking it by accident.
100%. And that's what we're trying to figure out, if someone knew and there was an intent there, or it was truly just a massive communication failure, which can happen. We're not casting any aspersions, but we want to find out what the answer is.
And in a case like this,
I mean, honestly, when it came in, I wanted to throw a lot of resources at it because two things. It happened in the county seat and it's a hometown company. I'm like, that's not happening here. And it's not happening to one of our hometown companies. And so now we got to figure out exactly what played out.
and, I mean, if charges, hypothetical, do come about, I mean, who would be charged in this instance? Would it be the company? Would it be the person who filed the report? Who would be responsible at the end?
Yeah, it's kind of hard to get hypothetical, but in this case specific, but let me get hypothetical generically. So if somebody makes a false police report knowing the information they're providing is false, that's a crime. And depending on what it involves, can set the level of how serious of a crime that is. So when you've got an item that's in the $30,000+ range, if somebody intentionally made a report knowing it not to be true, that would be a felony.
Can you talk a little bit more about the Clearview cameras? This is first of its kind partnership. Does it use the AI technology?
Well, without getting into the different kinds of technology it has, it gives more views, more angles, and more situational awareness so they can see it in the Joint Operations Center. When you get down in the weeds of how we're analyzing different things, we'll probably not go there. Some of the things we do to protect the community, some of the resources that we have staged, we don't necessarily want any adversary to know what we have and where we have it.
Do we know how many are set up?
I think there was 20? 18.
With the multi-agency center, can you kind of paint me a picture of what that is? Is that like a big, almost like situation room? And is that a new concept for you guys?
Yeah, I mean, I think having us all co-located, including fire and all the different agencies, this is the first time to do it that way. We've always had great communication and interaction, but not necessarily all in the same spot. So this will have representatives from all of those different things in the same spot and allow the communication to be seamless.
Is that within the sheriff's department building somewhere?
No, it's actually going to be down in Royal Oak. It's in Royal Oak. I mean, we're not going to tell you where it is, obviously. But yes.
Are you shutting it down at the same time Saturday? Was it 10?
9 o'clock.
9.
9, okay.
9.
Saturday, 9 o'clock.
2,100 hours is when that turns into a pumpkin. Anybody else?
Anything else different that's happening this year?
Well, I think we're much more aware of the airspace given the problems that we had last year. And the things we've seen across the globe. That's why I wanted to hit on the restrictions and the legalities. But outside of that, as I said, we've been doing this for a long time. Anybody else? Sure.